Positively Muskegon, it's Andy O'Reilly. I am in the basement of Nelson School. You thought it was a forgotten space? Well, guess again. It's the home of the Boys and Girls Club of Muskegon, and Dakota Crow is the executive director?
Yeah,
is that what you're going by? Is that a big official title, or
they actually call it CPO, which stands for Chief Professional Officer? But
wow,
I'm much more humble than that. So I usually don't. It's like I'm Dakota.
You're gonna fit in perfect.
It's one big happy family, and there's
that's cool.
That hierarchy thing we don't.
Tell me a little bit about your background with the Boys and Girls Club now.
Yeah, it was wild. So one day, and actually I lived up here in Muskegon for quite some time.
You did?
It was back, kind of right out of college.
Yep.
I've got family here. They own several businesses, and I came up here. I thought Michigan...
It wouldn't be that one famous Crow family, would it?
Randy? Yep, RC. Thanks, man. He actually gave me my first job.
Did he really? Awesome.
Got me up here. Well, I never came up to Michigan because, like I said, I was originally from Missouri.
Yep.
And that's where I started the clubs down there. That was my hometown. But the unique thing about that, I hadn't come to Michigan since I graduated college. I'd never been. I thought Michigan was this frozen terrain, barren land, and and nobody marketed it.
Right.
There was no commercials. There was nothing on the website that said, on anything online that said, "Come to Michigan."
Yeah.
And I get this phone call from my mom and dad. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to go trip to see the family up north."
Okay.
The Northern Crows.
The Northern Crows.
So I catch red eye flight like 5:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Get up here, land, and it's like 10 o'clock. Go over to Village Inn over in Fruitport.
Yep.
And scarf down just an omelet over there. Jenny hooked us up, omelet, blueberry, pancakes, and it was like the perfect season.
Welcome to Michigan.
Oh my gosh, and I was in heaven. So you guys have already built this whole, story, and it's like, you drive, and you're driving, and it's like you've got the beach, and you got the water and stuff, and I remember taking this picture on my phone, of course. You put everything on Facebook.
Sure.
I send it to my friends, and they're like, "When did you go to California? When
right.
did you go to,
Yeah.
Florida?" I was like, "I'm in Michigan." I fell in love with the place. Very much an outdoors person.
Easy to do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, it really is. And from being like outside of town, I think you really have that real appreciation of it. And it was so cool. So anyway, smitten by the whole entire thing.
Sure.
Made my way up here, started working, and then 2 years goes by, and I get this phone call from Missouri.
Okay.
Saying, "Hey, we want to start this Boys and Girls Club." I said, "That's awesome," and I'd volunteered whenever I was in college, and that's exactly what we need in that town.
Yep.
So, just on a limb, I thought, sure,
let's
make
do
it happen.
You got to take a chance.
Yeah, and
gotta go for it.
And as seen, because I saw the end product, right, as a volunteer, but you don't see the roots and like
right.
everything that makes that day happen.
Yep.
So I quickly, transformed career paths, head back to Missouri, spent probably 2 months just traveling the whole entire state, seeing what worked in every club. And there's some amazing clubs down there.
Sure.
Down in, St. Louis, took a lot from those guys. Kansas City, Springfield. I mean, there was just so much that everybody did right, but it was, all molded specifically for the local clubs.
Yep.
What they wanted to make it.
Yep.
And so took all that info, went back, built the club. We started with 0 kids, obviously day, 0.
Yep.
First day, 29 kids walked through the door in Missouri. And we grew it in a year to over 500.
Wow.
And, had to change sites and outgrew that. And, we're here, it was a very similar story.
Sure.
So it was cool that, I spent several years down there building that club, found a successor for that, and then actually got a phone call
to come here
to, from a couple Boys and Girls Club America folks about this club here.
Yeah.
And kind of started to go through and kind of looked at what I might have to offer, and also love the area, of course, and doing what you love, and then mixing it with the absolute perfect place to live makes for a pretty happy life. So it's been cool to bring what I, learned,
what you learned
or did wrong, or
right.
So learned a lot down there, and was able to get us a lot. I think do some things with the team here, and how we function, and get us a little bit further ahead.
Very cool.
So
talk about it's about a year now, isn't it? I think we came on in April.
April 20th.
April 20th. So we're getting close to a 1 year anniversary. Let's talk about the first year of the Boys and Girls Club of Muskegon. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean the first year it has been. I think we'll look back in about 5 years and be like, that was a great pilot year.
Yeah.
And that's not putting down anything that we've done by any means, because going from 30 kids day one to 374.
That's where you're at now?
That's where we're
374.
at now. Yeah, and we've got, the partnerships with the schools are amazing. that development, just seeing what we've done for the kids, and the areas of academics, raising the grades, the character side of things that we focus on, seeing less behavior reports, bad behavior in the school. Obviously, the verbal back and forth with the parents, very involved with the parents.
Sure.
Seeing kids, behavior get much better, as well as, the health side of things.
Yeah, you've got 3 key things. Let's talk about those here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, so you got academics, you got the health component,
okay,
and then you got the character development component.
Okay. Academics. Do you bring in tutors for kids? How does that work?
There's two ways. So we've got our academic, folks. We call them YDPs, which stands for Youth Development Professionals.
Okay.
So we'll have our YDPs that are specific for academics, and then we also have our volunteers that'll come in and kind of partner up with those YDPs. Of course, the YDP will have the game plan for the day.
Sure.
Whether it be in our Power Hour, which is our homework help program, where we spend, the second kids get in the door.
Get your homework out, get it over with.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. We're going to do that before we have, all the fun in the club.
Sure.
And obviously, those individuals have kind of that homed-in approach on academics. And then we have some other outreach things too, where we might bring in some specialized folks. Whether it's a kid that's really struggling with multiplication.
Sure.
Those kind of things. So finding those tricks to really move those kids ahead more on a, kind of an individual one-on-one basis.
And then you've got the character development.
The character development is huge.
Talk about that a little bit.
So the big thing about that is you get the kids involved in kind of 2 things. A leadership kind of role where you start to kind of work together as a team.
Yep.
And then kind of the team building. And then you've also got the service component. And, that's all about getting out in the community and doing whatever that community needs to, whether it's, blight fight, whether it is, working with the kids' food basket.
Sure.
Just those things. So finding a need in the community and giving back. So it's that whole service above self.
Brings a little responsibility to their lives, too.
It does.
As opposed to sitting there, and I'm not against video games or anything like that, but kids need to learn early that giving back to the community is the way that communities thrive.
It is. And
sitting home playing Nintendo all day long ain't going to make it happen.
And so there's that piece of, getting out and serving, too.
Sure.
This is for everybody to hear. But think about, too, the new opportunities, the new people you're going to meet.
Yep.
Just the new exposure.
Mm-hmm.
If you're putting together a project, the project management side of that. So there's a lot that goes into the club, and the reason, I think that it's successful is we don't have our hands, necessarily tied to, to reporting to the state on this. Or, where the school very much is, very much focused academics. We've got to hit this mark, this mark, this mark. The club is not so much, that hand tied. So we have 4 hours every day after school.
Yep.
And then full days in the summertime to really do anything that we can do to advance those kids in academics, character development, or that health lifestyle. It's a beautiful kind of match whenever you've got the schools that are, running from 7 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon.
Yep.
And now the club takes over from 3 until 7. You literally have kids served from 7 till 7. That's a really cool partnership.
That's a long day.
You've got...
It's a long day, but it's good, and it's productive, and they're not left at home alone, and they're not out getting into trouble with their friends and stuff like that.
Exactly. And, the beautiful thing about it is, the club's not an extension of the school day.
Yep.
You will not come here and see, a whole lot of desks, a whole lot of, sitting in the classroom type structure. You're going to see a lot of movement, a lot of interaction. It's the best way I can describe it is that it's a supplement to the school day. And it's really, it's really cool because then, once you've got the school and the club working together, you can really start to develop a full kid.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the school day is not just enough to do it, and of course the club day is not just enough to do it.
Not enough at all.
It definitely adds a lot of value.
Sure.
But when you can combine those two forces.
How do kids become a member of the Boys and Girls Club? Is it through the school? Can parents call on? Tell me about that.
Every way.
Really?
Well, and you try to, because you've got so many different ways
that
people access information, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's just the website, whether it's, postage, million different ways.
Okay.
So we've targeted, a lot of it in the school. And the school is really, it's that one-on-one interaction.
Well, it's help for them.
It is. And you're talking with teachers, you're talking with folks on, hey, who could really use this? Who's going to need us most?
Sure.
So, you coordinate with the office, administration help, teachers, and you get your membership packet set up. So everybody out there, if you're looking, you can go to your local school in your office and probably find a membership packet. And membership.
This guy gets it.
Yeah, the camera's there. But no. So membership. The beautiful thing about it is the bare minimum of the club. We're a positive place for kids.
Yep.
It's a safe place to go. You get snack. You get dinner every night.
Yep.
During the summertime, you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You'd think in 2016 that wouldn't be a need, but it's a huge need.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Kids that are underfed and it's just in here of all places. You'd think.
If you look at like 1 year ago, whenever I had just gotten into town, and the weather starts to turn, and it was right there about that cusp in April.
Yep.
You travel through this neighborhood in Nelson, other neighborhoods, and you look and you see, and there's a lot of kids hanging out on stoops. There's a lot of kids, playing basketball by themselves, walking down the street. There's a lot of opportunity for negative things, to come in.
Yeah.
And if you go through that same neighborhood now on a nice day, that's not happening. The kids are here.
Good.
So there is that structure and all those things that those kids were doing.
Sure.
Yes, we get outside and we play a whole lot. But it's in a very structured environment with supportive staff that are there, supportive volunteers.
Sure.
So that's kind of the beauty of it. But with the membership side of it, we've actually we've just launched. We put a membership online application.
Okay.
So if you're on the tech side of things, you can quickly go in there, type in your info, and like I said, in
just
membership,
like that.
It goes straight to us. We get it processed. We call you, and you're good to go.
Get your kid in here.
Yeah.
How many schools do you serve?
Oh my gosh, back in the like summertime.
Yep.
During the school year, it gets a little more consolidated because transportation stuff. So right now, we're probably serving, you'll see kids from probably 9 different schools.
Okay.
Like 40% of them are going to be Nelson. You got Lakeside, you got Marquette, you got Moon, you got a few from the Heights, a few from Reese Puffer. It's kind of your schools that are going to be a little bit closer here. Timberland, Three Oaks. But during the summertime, we had kids all the way from Whitehall to Grand Haven.
Wow.
And given it was 2 or 3, like a family,
but nonetheless,
exactly. So they had found a way to, okay, well, hey, I work at this time. I'll drop my kids off. I'll get them after work.
Yep.
It worked really well for them, and their kids were in a safe place all day.
Talk about volunteers. I would imagine you need a handful of them.
We do.
To keep things going, and I would imagine that you've got opportunities too for people to help.
There's huge opportunities, and every one of those categories is really, we kind of primarily focus on our volunteers. But breaking it down academic wise.
Sure.
If you want to read, if you want to help people with kids with their homework, there's also a technology component in there. Whether it's if you're a
computer nerd
coder, exactly, whatever it is. Comcast has been very good to us on a national level and a local level to develop the My.Futures program. And it's everything from coding, to web development to.
They can come down here and learn all that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For $5 a year. I don't know if I got to that or not.
That's what it costs to be a member of the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, and really it's that buy-in kind of thing.
Yeah, a whole $5.
Right. And that's kind of what I was getting at with the bare minimum of being a member. You get kind of a safe haven and food and supportive relationships, but there's so much more that develops the mind and develops the whole child. Kind of doing that holistic approach.
Tell me 5 years from now, what do you see?
Oh my gosh. The vision is to serve 1,000 kids a day.
Okay.
And if you could serve 1,000 kids a day, our goal is right now, just in this school year, and we're about to run the numbers, and it's going to be really cool because we're going to have that 1 year of data.
Yep.
In the spring, started in April, wasn't enough to say, hey, we had all this impact. Right. Where there's 1 month of school left. So taking those, first, 50 kids that were coming, and then really looking at that year over year, have these kids really been impacted by the club and everything that I've ran so far, and I'm not ready to release the full info, but our minimum goal was to raise GPA by 0.2.
Okay.
To decrease behavior within the classroom, and then also lower BMI.
Yep.
And on the BMI thing, there's a whole different partnership that helps us out with that. But on the academics and the character development, what I've seen so far, as far as the raw data, we've got that feeling like it seems to be working. But it really is working.
Good.
And if you could do even that bare minimum of those, just outcomes and those goals that we just set forth. Right now we're doing that for 80 plus kids a day.
Yep.
80, 90 kids a day, somewhere abouts in there. And really that's been a restriction of, transportation.
Sure.
And, just kids getting here. During the summertime it's going to be wild. But to answer your specific question, 1,000 kids a day is what we want to serve.
The 5-year goal, 1,000 kids a day.
Yeah, 5-year
awesome.
goal.
That's a big goal.
It's a very lofty goal, because also keeping in mind the fundraising side of things, and just the grant management and the resources there. Each kid is going to cost about $1,000 a year when you break it down.
Yep.
To get through the club. We try to keep administrative costs as low as possible. Right now they sit about 25%, and I mean part of that was because I was here before the club got open. And that was 2015. So and I'm still so hands-on in the program. So it's like, how do you divide time?
Right.
So really focusing and making sure that the donor dollar is being very, very well utilized. And if people got the chance to come to the Youth of the Year event,
which was last week,
kind
of a big deal.
And we didn't know how it would go. All we want to do is recognize our kids, right?
Right.
They've done it at a national level since like 1947. It's like, hey, we've got a whole plethora of awesome kids here. Jared Pittman, Morgan Griffin, Kyron Kimball, Devon Kitchen. Awesome kids. They started with us day one, and really just watch them develop and watch them grow and what they had done. And they kind of started to help us on the what we call junior staff side, so you get some workforce development there. And, we just had this kind of big celebration and recognized them. SAF Holland called up one day and said, hey, we do this for Holland's Boys and Girls Club. We'd like to sponsor yours too. And I didn't know what that looked like. I was like, sure. Yeah.
Anything you want.
Yeah, and we kind of talked through it, and we were able to host an event, kind of get the word out. And
sure.
I'll be honest, it was kind of like one of those shotgun, like, just see what happens.
Might as well.
And, DJ Hilson was great and kind of getting everybody riled up and getting there. The attendance that day was great. It was 130 plus people.
Cool.
Getting to hear the story. But my big thing of that was, you've had four youth here, 4 teens that totally, total transformation between last year and this year with, responsibility levels, with leadership, with it's an amazing
just a point in the right direction is all they need, and they figure it out.
And sometimes a little bit of a confidence boost.
Sure.
That's some of the biggest thing. When you get somebody that believes in yourself. But those folks that got to witness that event, I think really saw that, okay, wait, this club thing is more than just a place where kids go and hang out.
Right.
There's lives that are being changed here.
And that's important.
Exactly. So if you could imagine Muskegon, you were talking, positively Muskegon here.
Positively.
You're 1,000 kids a day that would get that kind of level of impact.
That's change, and that's a big deal.
You've got employers now that, hey, there's not all these vacancies that we just can't fill.
Sure.
Better retention, because there is that better of mutual respect.
Yep.
Of what you learn in the club. More kids graduating or going to a trade school, whatever that looks like. It starts to shape towns. And, and if you look at clubs around the nation that have been around for a while, and you see kind of the progression of their industry, and you see the things that they've been able to do.
Yeah.
When you can develop your youth like that,
it's much needed change here. Yeah. It really is.
I know. My son gets a ton out of coming to the club.
Sure.
There's a lot of nights where working very late.
Yep.
A lot of long hours.
Yep.
Like I said, I love what I do. It's not like work.
Right.
It's almost not fair. But just to see what he gets out of it.
Right.
And he's in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And just being around the staff and stuff. So, because I can't. It's like I can't just send him home.
Right.
So.
Practice what you preach.
And a lot, exactly. And a lot of parents, a lot of parents are in that same position. And I think a lot of it's, a lot of parents just don't know yet. Or there's like a barrier to, well, we think it costs too much.
$5.
And that's the deal, is making sure that, that whole hurdle.
Yeah.
There's other hurdles.
Sure.
That we have to get across, but that financial obligation, making sure it's minimized. There's things that we need to do for sure.
Yeah.
We use data a lot. To kind of crunch our numbers and see where our kids are coming from.
Sure.
For instance, right now we don't have a large Hispanic population. Why? Our membership application is in English.
Yeah.
So there's some serious work that we've got to do that we've learned, in the first year.
Sure.
So using those things to develop and reach more kids and get those positive outcomes for, for the future of Muskegon.
Sure.
Because I don't know if it's kind of cool for me to come back and help do this too. With the team, because like fresh off the boat from like Europe, whenever my family they came straight to Muskegon.
Yep.
And my great grandfather, fired up the boilers at Brunswick and stuff. And the house set right where, kind of the railroad tracks go over Seaway there.
Yep.
My grandfather came up here, he's like, and if you stopped right here, this is where the house was, and we're in the middle of Seaway. It's like, well, I'm not going to stop because there's a Freightliner behind me. But,
right.
But no, so I mean, it's so cool to see and hear those past stories.
Yeah.
Of, you know, and Muskegon's progress and how it's been able to just rise back up. And I think this is, you know, and the whole Watch Us Go is
very cool.
Phenomenal. It is really cool. My brother's kind of in that marketing mindset. They came to visit us last week, and he's like, that is the best. Like, he's like, I want to move here just because I see that.
Nice.
And then you start to talk about the real progress,
Sure.
and it's more than just a slogan. I really do. And I think we're just one tiny little piece in that whole puzzle, of course. So if anybody's up there for partnerships, let me know.
Give them a
other
call.
Organizations out there that you think, you know, whether you serve youth or, you know, serve families, whatever that might look, you know, kind of getting kids in the club that might benefit.
Sure.
Always a huge thing.
Sure.
So
we'll put all the links and everything right here on Positively Muskegon. If you want to find their website, you want to find their Facebook page to get into contact with Dakota, please do. This is a big deal for Muskegon, and it's a long time needed and a long time coming, and to make the best of it is what we need to do. Welcome back to town, man. Thank you for being here. Dakota Crow, Boys and Girls Clubs of Muskegon. It's at Nelson School. You'll find all the links right here on Positively Muskegon.